What's up, everybody? Alessandro here from Tony'sPicks.com. Ready to break down this UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi this weekend. Super excited for this one. Great co-main event between, Derridier and Robert Whittaker. Excited for that one. All throughout this fight card, actually, it's a pretty good card. Of course, I always love some 9 a.m. fights. Who doesn't on a Saturday? So, let's get into it here. First fight of the night, we're going to have Marcus Buchecha versus Martin Buday. Buchecha, the minus 300 favorite, making his UFC debut. Big time skill advantage when it comes to, the grappling here. Decorated grappler Buchecha is, I don't see how you don't bet on him here. I don't know. I can't really get there with Buday. Just the difference in physiques and, cardio and everything, really. I think it's Marcus Buchecha all the way. I wanted to get there with Martin Buday, with all the value there. MMA grappling, I think he'll have. I think he'll make it a little difficult for Buchecha to get him to the ground, but I think it's only a matter of time, Buchecha by sub, what is that? We don't have any props out really in these early fight cards, in this early, part of the fight card. Just the over-under on the rounds, over is minus 130, under plus 105 on the 1.5. I don't know. I think it's Buchecha by sub, and it could even be early. Buchecha all the way there. On to the next fight. We got Mohammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. Not really, looking to hammer this fight at all too much. Not the biggest Stephen Nguyen guy here. Not a whole lot to know about this kid either. Only 9-2 in the in MMA. And Mohammad Yahya, 12-5. Excuse me. I think he's gonna be 12-6. He's 0-2 in the UFC. I think he's gonna try to wrestle. Stephen Nguyen. Most MMA fighters at this point are hip to the wrestling spamming type game here. You have to have spectacular cardio and, actually have impeccable wrestling like a Marab or somebody like that. Khabib maybe back in the day to be this grappling heavy type guy. And I just think Mohammad Yahya is not one of those guys. Not on the feet, nothing too special there from him on the feet. I think it's Stephen Nguyen all day. I don't know, Stephen Nguyen by TKO knockout. These are all just guess props here because, again, these early fights, not really there. The over-under 2.5 is what? Minus 115 either way. I'm seeing minus 110 on the over 2.5, under 2.5. Like I said, I could see Stephen Nguyen getting a knockout or TKO. I would assume it to be around, plus 170, plus 180, with him being a minus 350 underdog here. Or, excuse me, minus 350 favorite. I don't know, Yahya by sub if Yahya was to win, or maybe by a decision of just lay and pray. I see those being over 5-1, 6-1 type odds. I don't know. To me, it's Stephen Nguyen or pass here. So on to the next fight. Aslan versus Billy Elekana. This is a fight I'm not really looking to bet on either here. I think it is favorite or pass here. Minus 270. Aslan is the way, I think. They've just been cherry-picking wins for this kid. His last fight, he actually got exposed there by the kid. The veteran guy. Name escapes me right now. Hulk. Kutalaba. Kutalaba exposed Aslan that last fight there in a fight that was pumped. That was an Extreme Couture battle right there. And, Extreme has been trying to push this Aslan kid. They've been getting him some easy cherry-picked fights. Elekana fights out of Uprising MMA. Uprising MMA is 30 minutes from here. I've trained there before. I've actually done a couple jiu-jitsu tournaments out of that gym. I actually like the gym a lot. I like the guy there that owns it. I believe his name's Tiki or something like that. I think it's Tiki's is the guy who owns it here. It's a great facility. I just don't think, they're going to be able to match up with the money that's on the Aslan side when it comes to everything. The training camp, big-time gym exposure. I think this is a Aslan cherry-pick win here. They pick Elekana for a reason. I'm rooting for Elekana, but I think you got to go Aslan here. The over-under over-under of 1.5. You're talking about over plus 100. So, yeah, they don't think this is going to go the distance. For it to go the distance, massive plus money, like over plus 700. For this fight to not go the distance is minus 450. Let's just put it that way. I think it's Aslan or pass. Like I said, not really looking forward to it with the juice that's going to be. I don't have any method of victory props there for that one yet either. It's going to be juice to Aslan. On to the next fight. We got Amanda Ribas versus Tabatha Ricci. Excuse me. Tabatha Ricci, plus 160 underdog here is where I was first thinking. I don't know. She's going to be slightly the smaller fighter to Ribas, and Ribas is kind of a wild card. You don't know what you're going to get out of her. So I don't like betting on her, especially at minus 190. I do think, obviously, this fight goes to a decision. It's, for this to go to the distance, distance, yes, is minus 425. Over, under 2.5. Over, minus 525. So, everybody basically knows it's going to be a decision. I think it's a coin flip fight. I don't know. I would lean there. Again, no method of victory props yet for me to look at. I would assume Ribas would be at least a little bit of minus money on the decision. If she's minus 190 to win, I would see like a minus 130, a minus 140 by decision, Ribas. So I think, if you wanted to touch the dog here by decision, I think that'd be the way to go with Ricci. But I'm not necessarily rushing to the window. Like I said, I think Ribas is good enough to get her down on the ground and win rounds. Ribas is going to be a little bit bigger as well, and she's just too much of a wild card for me to want to, fade really or even back. So, on to the next fight. We have Blackshear versus Davey Grant. Davey Grant's made me money in the past. I like his boxing. I like his grit, everything about him, really. The guy out of, London over there, England. I've messed with Davey Grant before. He's made me some money, like I've said. But Blackshear is another guy that's made me money before, especially when he went back-to-back weeks there with a finish, with that twister finish. I remember making some money off that. That was very nice. Blackshear is the big-time minus 360 favorite, I think, for a reason. Distance, for this fight to go the distance, yes, is plus 100. So, it's favored for this fight to not go the distance there, minus 130. By decision, Blackshear, I think these are all, again, I don't have the props in front of me, so I'm having a guess here what they'll be, and then maybe we can get ahead of the line. I see Blackshear by decision maybe around minus 150, minus 170. I think by sub, if you can get anything plus money with him to get a submission here on Davey Grant, plus 110, plus 120, 30, I think that's a steal. I'll take that. And then obviously maybe even gets a TKO, like gets mount. Davey Grant can't escape. I think it's Blackshear all the way here. I can't even see Davey Grant sneaking him. It's Blackshear a pass there. So on to the next fight. Muslim Salikhov versus Carlos Leal. This Carlos Leal guy, tons of back knee. I'll throw out the roid accusations. Yeah, I'll go there. There's no way this guy's not juicing to the freaking gills. Just everything about him screams that. I don't know. He won his last couple fights in impressive fashion too. But when you're messing with the king of kung fu, Muslim Salikhov, I'm going to roll that way, man. Almost plus 380 you're looking at with him. For this fight to go over, over 1.5 rounds at minus 150, I love that. Way more, actually, than just touching Salikhov. Like I said, this Roy Junkie Leal, I mean, he could fight. I'll give him that. But, I just think he gasses eventually. And I think he, relies too much on athleticism and strength and brute force. And Salikhov is just, like I said, the king of kung fu. I can see him definitely, picking apart Leal from distance, using some kicks, using his footwork. Obviously, the older fighter, a lot more, experience, knows the grizzled ways to, win a fight. I also see him using some clinch work here. I think you got to go plus 380 Muslim Salikhov. You guys can call me crazy, but I'm all over it. Muslim Salikhov, let's get it done for us. On to the next fight. Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell making his bantamweight debut. I think it's about time he goes down in weight. I think this weight class will suit him right. I just don't think this is a great matchup for him right off the bat. I mean, Nurmagomedov, you've heard me say before, is, not one of the most elite Dagestani guys there. I think he's a little, using the name to get away, get ahead there in the game. But much less, he's going to have some skill. I like his boxing, actually. I think he's going to give Bryce Mitchell some problems there on the feet. I actually see this fight being one of those classic, wrestler versus wrestler. They both stand and trade. Neither guy, is able to get a takedown there. And, maybe if a guy were to, I actually might lean Bryce. I think this is a clear over-under type situation. You go here. I think it's an over fest. I'm seeing here minus 150, minus 160 to the over 2.5. That's a safe bet for me. A lean to Saeed Nurmagomedov just off the boxing and maybe the ability to have some counter defensive wrestling and, keep this fight on the feet where I think he'll have a slight advantage over Bryce. And the speed advantage, this is also Bryce's first cut to 135. We'll see how he looks on the scales. I'm not expecting him to look too bad there. I think he's going to actually, this weight class will fit him right, like I've said before. But, yeah, on to the next fight. You got Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. Krylov minus 190, Guskov plus 160. Tough fight for me to call here. I can't blame anybody wanting to jump on the Guskov value there. I'm seeing this is the first fight I started seeing method of victory props start getting released. Excuse me, the Bryce Mitchell fight too. But yeah, this Nikita Krylov, Bogdan Guskov here. Guskov's 17-3. Like I said, I get why people are starting to lean there towards the plus price with him. Knockout for him plus 210. Krylov sub plus 190. I could see a plus 250 TKO as well out of him. I don't know. This is a tough fight to call. The over-under, 1.5 of plus 115, minus 145. I'm going to lean the over there. I know it's scary. Guskov, everybody's thinking is going to get that early big-time knockout. I think the over 1.5 is the best bet there for Nikita Krylov and Bogdan Guskov. But I don't know. We'll see because Guskov has some finishing capability and Krylov does too. So tough fight to call. On to the next one. We got Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. I'm pumped about this Ochoa prospect. He kind of exposed Cody Durden there in his last fight. I was on Durden. I was thinking Durden would be able to, get in on his legs and shoot a bunch of takedowns and Merab Dvalishvili his way to a win. And Ochoa showed nothing but, great takedown defense and that dominant win there. What Almabayev's going to do the same exact thing. I just think Durden's probably even better than Almabayev at it, if I'm being honest. I think Ochoa has an easy cherry-picked win. I think this is the steal of the night. I hate to give this one out for free, but, it's a freemium here. Jose Ochoa minus 105. Absolute lock. If you want to get greedy, take the knockout plus 240. On to the next. We got Shara Magomedov and Marc-Andre Barriault here. Of course, I always hunt dogs, so immediately started looking at Marc-Andre Barriault. I can't get there, guys. I definitely want to fade this Shara guy. I mean, I know he's a complete fraud. Yes, impeccable striking. It's entertaining to watch, spinning wheel kicks and insane jumping Superman punches and all this crazy stuff he can do inside the cage. Yeah, it's fun to watch. We saw him get taken down. I forget who that fight was, too. It wasn't even against the greatest of guys. It was against that Ottoman Azaitar. I believe Ottoman Azaitar was taking him down left and right, and Shara still won a decision there. I don't know. Shara by knockout, minus 150. It's actually not that bad of a price here. By decisions, minus 200. That's probably what's going to happen. Barriault's a veteran. He's going to grab Shara, put him up against the fence, at least tire him out. He's not going to stand at trading distance with him if he's smart, at least. For this fight to go the distance, though, it is plus 175. Yeah, they don't see Barriault having a chance in this fight. Over 1.5, minus 170 to the over, though, which I do find interesting. I guess they think he can at least get out the first round. I don't know. I'm not willing to even bet that, if I'm being honest. I think it's Shara clearly or pass, but I'm not going to sit here and give this pick out and bang my chest and brag about giving out Shara Magomedov at minus 650. On to the next fight. We got Petr Yan versus Marcus McGhee. I don't know. This was a fight, again, looking at the dog with McGhee, a guy I've seen here train out of the MMA lab. Actually had one of my first ever fights on one of his fights where he was main eventing. They were Rough MMA out there in Arizona. MMA labs out there in Arizona as well. So this guy's right here in my backyard. I know a lot about this guy. Seen him up close. He's massive for this 135-pound weight class. I think he'd be a big 145er, if I'm being honest, or at least a decent size 145er. So that worries me there. If you want to bet on Petr Yan at minus 400, I think it's a little overvalued, but I can see it. The skill level I think is on Petr Yan's side, the advantage at least. This guy's trained out at Thailand, Tiger Muay Thai. He's got elite Muay Thai, elite wrestling, a nasty mean streak of a fighter he has too. I mean, for this fight to go the distance is minus 270. For it to not go the distance, you're talking about over plus 300 here. Somebody might get clipped. It's just a 3-round fight, which is what scares me off when it comes to, touching the over-under here. Over-under is at minus 310 for the over. Over 2.5, minus 310. I don't know about that. And plus 230 for the under. Maybe you want to look there if you think somebody gets dropped or clipped. I can definitely see it. Another one here where the fight, method of victories did get released. Nguyen by knockout here is plus 425. I think that's a great price to steal that. Plus 425, I think is that should be like maybe plus 200. I don't know. By sub for Nguyen, 10-1. By decision, minus 190. So they definitely see a Petr Yan decision in this fight going the distance. I get it. It's 3 rounds. I just think McGhee, he's a big guy, and I think he can clip. I think he can clip Petr Yan, and if he can get a quick stoppage, man, I hate relying on that, but it would not surprise me at all if McGhee got himself a quick stoppage knockout here on Petr Yan. We saw Yan get the DQ there versus Aljamain Sterling. Not necessarily one of Dana's favorite fighters. Jan's openly been talking about how much fighter pay is, and he should be getting paid more. Tough fight to call for me, especially since Jan is just so overvalued. I think you sit here and you try to take a shot on McGhee, honestly. On to the next fight. We got Reiner de Riddier and Robert Whittaker for our main event. This fight here, I'm super pumped about. I pretty much know who's going to win this fight. I could give this out right now, or you guys can, get it on the website. I think you guys should get it on the website. Show me some love, because I have been giving you guys out some nice heat here on this on these UFC cards. Derek Lewis one comes to mind. First ever one there with the Sean O'Malley Merab fight. I gave you guys Merab. I know it was a fat favorite, but I know everybody was jumping on O'Malley to get his revenge, and he didn't. Called that. What else? I actually went 2 for 2 there, co-main and main, when I called Pantoja getting the sub over Kai Kara France. And who else? Topuria getting the knockout over Oliveira. Also called that. You can go back and check out all these videos. Everything's documented, like Tony and all the guys like to say. We're really about it. Check out the website. All of our picks are there, like I said. This main event, over 3.5 at plus 125 is where I look. I think that's a great bet. De Riddier is game as game. We saw him expose Bo Nickel. I'm going to completely erase that fight and take it out, because I don't even think Bo Nickel's anything really in this middleweight division. I think Whittaker would handle Bo Nickel pretty much the same way. I don't know, man. I think Robert Whittaker's lost a little bit here in the tank. I can't blame anybody, though, for wanting to jump on him. I'm even thinking about it myself here. He has one last title shot here. De Riddier's a little bit unproven with this, big time. I think he's 17-2 type record, 20-2 type record he has. I don't know. It's a tough fight to call. I think the best bet's the over 3.5 in this main event. But yes, guys, that's just my free picks here for this UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Obviously, if you want my best picks, my premium picks, you guys have got to go check it out on Tony'sPicks.com. Everything's documented there, guys. Go check it out. We put our picks up there. We're not scared to show losers, show our winners, obviously. But yeah, check it out. Use the Tony T discount code. Get the 15% off. 2-for-1 capper promotion. You guys already know. Let's make some money. Peace.